Yogyakarta, or Joja, as called by the local people, is located east of Java. It is a city famous for its batik, wayang puppets, and temples. The bustling city streets are typical. Storefronts and restaurants are everywhere, which could be deceiving at first. What lies underneath is a rich and very interesting culture. Indian influence on the art and culture of Indonesia still persists today. However, indigenous forms are inherent. The use of the kris in this dance is a good example. The use of bladed weapons and martial arts are an important part of the culture and are often depicted in many art forms. In the town of Sleman, near Joja, is a key umpu by the name of Jino. Jino belongs to a family of kris makers for 13 generations, and his work is highly regarded by some as one of the best in Indonesia.
To make a good kris, one must first meditate and concentrate on the type of pommel on the blade. A good kris will depend on the type of materials used, the skill of the craftsman, and the offering made to the Almighty and to the ancestors. This is a 3-wave kris with a beras watu pommel, or scattered rice grains. The large silver patches on this kris are nickel, and the black background is iron or steel. This is a lurus kris, or a straight blade with an adeg pommel. This is a tambal wengkon, or patches within a border pommel, and the blade style is called jalak timansari. This is an 11-wave kris. The pommel is called trite, or grasshopper's teeth. The pommel on this kris is called ronduru, depicting the leaf of the genduru plant, probably one of the most difficult kris to make.
Jino is in his late 60s and still makes kris today. Jino does not have a son to pass his art of making kris. However, he has a nephew that is now assisting him in his work. Indonesia has some of the most varied bladed weapons in Asia. A glimpse of their arsenal is seen in a depository, Jakarta National Museum. Sikkim is the name of a long sword used by the Aceh of Sumatra. This barong probably came from a trade with the people of Sulu in the Philippines. The Nia swords are noted for its unique hilt forms. These are old kris from Java with unusually large blades. Face masks, or topeng, are a big part of the culture. This kampilan was collected from the island of Sangir and is actually a Moro sword of the Philippines. Patong, or kris stands, depicting figures, are from Bali. Anting-anting, or ajamat, are amulets used widely all over Indonesia and the Philippines. Designs and figures are supposed to evoke magical powers, rendering the wearer invincible to sickness, bladed weapons, and bullets. Sinar Putih literally means white ray of light, is the second largest Pencak Silat group in Indonesia. The membership in 1992 was close to 18,000. Mohammed Mohari is one of the chief instructors in Sinar Putih in Jogja. He's been studying Salat for 12 years from a pendekar named Mustafa. Mohari's younger brother demonstrates some of the basic forms used by the school.
One piece.
Muhari demonstrates the 10 moves of Salat Ilmu. These are forms to develop internal power called Ilmu. It takes about 6 months to learn these forms.
6. Oh, 5, I'm sorry. This is 6. 7. And 8, B. 9. 20. Mana? Yeah.
This guy will show ilmu?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Muhari performs the use of ilmu on one of his students. The three instructors will pass the ilmu power to Widodo, a hotel clerk, and in turn use it against the three student volunteers.
Meremas ya, Mas? Ya. Mulai. Ya. Mulai. Bikin. Khusus vertical movement tidak perlu pakai.
The wooden scabbards of the Javanese kris are important in dressing up the blade itself. Traditional forms are maintained through the centuries by the use of templates. The basic tools have remained the same in the making of the kris scabbard. Old-style craftsmanship is still practiced. Way above north of Java, on top of North Borneo, is a string of islands called Sulu. It is located on the southern tip of the Philippines. The main island is Holo. The majority of people here are Tausuds, literally meaning people of the sea current. The other groups are Samal, Yakan, and the Bajaus. In the 16th century, the Spaniards called them Moros, a term that meant Moors in English, and eventually became synonymous to Muslim Filipinos. The Moros are very proud people. They were able to repel the Spanish conquest and colonialization that lasted nearly 300 years. Saleh studied Salat and Kung Tao from an old man named Sabturani in Sabah, North Borneo. In about a year, Saleh took a test under his instructor Sabturani, involving various attacks from advanced students with kris and spears inside a cave. Saleh passed the test, blindfolded. The two vertical cylinders called putlatan are bellows pump. Available material like steel bar is put in a mound of burning charcoal that is supplied by air from the bellows pump. A steel bar is measured for the proper size before forging. The finished blade will be a straight kris called callus tulip by the Tausuds. The steel bars are heated around 1800 to 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. This procedure is repeated throughout the forging process. When the steel is red hot in color, it has reached the proper temperature for forging. The steel is now soft enough for cutting as well. One end of the steel bar is compressed to make it thick enough for the wider crossguard section of the blade. The tang and the crossguard is cut. The upper crossguard is folded to facilitate forging of the tang. Excess material is taken off. The shaping of the blade starts from the crossguard and progresses towards the tip of the blade. Finishing touches and adjustments are done before the blade is handed to another craftsman for filing. A file is used to remove the hammering marks from forging. The use of files only came about more recently. The traditional method is done with a draw knife to scrape the surface smooth. Now the blade is ready for tempering. The tempering or hardening process is very critical. The temperature of the blade must be around 1400 to 1500 degrees Fahrenheit before it is quenched in water. The sudden lowering of temperature as the blade is plunged into the water causes the steel to be very hard. The darker part of the blade is hardened, and the lighter section near the crossguard has remained soft. The blade is finished. The blade is sanded first to remove any oil prior to etching. Sour fruits, like baling bing, are used to etch the blade. After resting the blade under the scorching sun, which speeds up the process, the laminations on the blade appears. Sharpening can be done before or after etching the blade, depending on individual taste. Well-tempered and sharpened Moro swords have been known to cut into a gun barrel. Sally shows some techniques in using a buriak in close quarters. Addo has been studying with Sally for 2 years. Addo is using a barong. This sword is less difficult to learn compared to a kris. Use of amulets or charms are still popular today as in the past. Sally shows some moves with a buriak against a Chris. Otto is the one holding the Chris. Sariel explains his numerous encounters with the Japanese in Second World War using a Chris.
We would hide behind the bushes and attack the Japanese soldiers using a Chris. The straight blade Chris cuts into the bone. The wavy blade Chris, however, has to be angled for an effective cut.
Sariel is a Taosu. A common practice amongst the Moros is wearing of a headband called the tisiabit in Sulu. The tapestry designs are regional and are hand-woven. Various styles of folding are used. Chris scabbards are worn using a long sash about 7 to 10 feet long. This will keep the scabbard in place as the Chris is drawn. Ali Basa is the chief of police in Pata, an island north of Holo. One of the rituals in procuring the correct sword is by measuring the blade in a prescribed manner. Ali Basa now knows that the barong is a good one. These series of cuts and blocks with a Chris were taught by an old man to Ali Basa for self-defense. Ali Basa does not recall the style. Wedding ceremonies in Sulu have always been an important part of celebration in the society. Traditional ways are still practiced and highly valued. It starts with a dowry, which must be offered to the parents of the prospective bride. If the parents agree, then the bride must abide to their decision. The groom, a tausug, is an engineer. He has chosen a bride who belongs to the upper class in the society. Gong music called kulintang is traditional amongst the Moros. The basic set is composed of a series of small gongs, several larger gongs, and drums. One of the important guests in the wedding is a datu, wearing a silver-hilted kris.
Marunong ako magtagalog.
Pantay na ito. Tagja, smile.
Balay ka utang ipagtalito.
Sally's cousin is doing an improvised set of moves with a barong. This leaf-shaped blade characterizes the barong. It is a preferred bladed weapon amongst the tausugs in one-to-one combat. The slicing capability of the barong is tremendous. Moros are well known for their low stances in combat. Here Sally and his cousin demonstrate a series of exercises. The Moros have a long history of wars and are well respected as warriors. They believe strongly in talismanic power and symbolism. They have a strong affinity to traditional values. Some are seafarers that have crossed the Sulu seas to Indonesia and have brought back a wealth of culture and art. Moros are Muslims. Islam was introduced in the late 14th century, and their faith has strengthened their will to defend their land and people. The bladed weapons and martial arts of the Moros are some of the best in the Philippines. Strong influence from Indonesia, mixed with indigenous forms, evolved and developed through time and resulted into a distinct style of their own. Today, the Moros have kept some of their tradition intact. Salat and Kuntao are still practiced in some areas. Bladed weapons are held in high esteem as always. However, modernization has taken its toll. Many cultural and traditional arts have been lost and are fast disappearing. But some still persist today, passed on to the younger generation.
Fort Pilar in Zamboanga was founded by the Spanish conquistadors in 1635. This is one of the few Spanish forts still standing in the Philippines. An old Yakan man dancing with his para, hoping to make a tip. The Yakans have a slightly different way of putting on their besiabit or headband. A ferry boat ride from Zamboanga to Basilan takes about 3 hours. The man closest to the front is a Philippine Marine Sergeant, and right behind him is Sarawi. Both are accompanying Cecil to Basilan. The port is in Lamitan. A craftsman showing a template for a para and is explaining how to forge the blade while holding a barong. Cotabato City is in the province of Mindanao. The Moros here are the Magindanaoan. They were once the largest Moro group in the Philippines during the Spanish conquest. Cotabato Museum displays an old kris called Sundang in Mindanao. The long sword is a kampilan, which is highly favored by the Magindanaos. Gunongs are daggers and are popular in the Maranao area as well. Bronze swivel-mounted cannons are known as lantaka, used in forts and fast sailing ships during warfare. Datus of high stature normally have a few dozen lantakas as symbol of wealth. The panabas or tabas literally means for chopping or hacking. The written display explains how the panabas was used in public executions of the past. Asa makes barongs and kalis for a living. This small barong was made by Asa. The 6-inch blade has silver inlays and a gold metal grip. This was a special order to commemorate the father's firstborn child, a boy.
And the blade is 6.
Asa also makes other weapons by hand. This revolver has a 223 or M16 barrel insert.
Namun kaon ni Dagbos.
Maghiwal, magbalan.
Napaka naman yung anak mo?
Ina?
Napaka naman eh? Ha?
Alam ko, baka ilisang tamakuan.
Wait, yung nawa? Wait.
Jamat travels all over the island of Holot to wrap sword handles. He also etches blades with sour fruit to bring out the laminations and folded steel.
Kasi ano magkasa? Awas na yan.
Pat is using a grinding stone to remove the rust on a kalis siko.
Pat, abas mo yung baril mo para matita.
Nanay po na kawan.
He brought out his .45 to show off. In front of Pat's house is Sarawi with an M16 for protection.
Wedding ceremonies in Sulu have always been an important part of celebration in the society. Traditional ways are still practiced and highly valued. It starts with a dowry, which must be offered to the parents of the prospective bride. If the parents agree, then the bride must abide to their decision. The groom, a Tausug, is an engineer. He has chosen a bride who belongs to the upper class in the society. Gong music called kulantong is traditional amongst the Moros. The basic set is composed of a series of small gongs, several larger gongs, and drums. One of the important guests in the wedding is a datu, wearing a silver-hilted kris.
He said the dowry for this wedding is 100,000 pesos cash.
Yes,
The uncle of the bride enumerates the dowry.
200 carats of gold.
Of gold worth about 40,000 pesos.
Yes, worth about 40,000, and two assorted cases of cigarettes.
Two assorted cases of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And he said about rice.
Four cows worth about 20,000.
4 cows worth about 20,000.
And then 20 sacks of rice.
20 sacks of rice.
And also the costumes of the brides and the bridesmaids will be given by the groom.
And that's worth about
more or less mga 50,000.
Marunong ako magtagalog.
Marunong Tagalog.
The bride has recently finished a degree as a doctor of medicine. She is considered to belong to a higher class in the society. The ritual is a series of symbolism signifying womanhood, responsibility, and maturity.
Social kami sa mga sila.
Social na makaman nakasaratan. Wala ko man ka manang Iba! Kakain ka mo. Iba na. Dahanain ko niya.
Ubusin yun na yung pasala.
The groom is being lectured by the imam or learned man regarding responsibilities as a husband.
Alhamdulillah. Na mamatal kita.
Final vows are made.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك من خيرها وخير ما جبلتها عليه وأعوذ بك من شرها وشر ما جبلتها عليه برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Chriswood Provenance are sometimes adorned with moss or gold in the guard area. Some of these kris are from the Majapahit era and are considered rare. Their value depends on the quality and the amount of gold used for decoration. Prices range from $2,000 to $10,000. A motorcycle ride on the rough road to Imigori is a good exercise of balance. Here one will find a mass production of kris handles and scabbards used on average quality kris. They are sold and distributed throughout Indonesia. The Kraton, or Sultan's Palace in Yogyakarta, has a small museum. Ironically, a beautiful kris is on display, which is from Bali. Old ukuran or kris handles are quite rare. Gamelan music is an important part of Indonesian society. It is said that a wealthy man is not complete without a gamelan and an expensive kris.